If we know this is going on and we not doing nothing, are we any better than the white spectator at the lynching?
This is the first time I've been in Kentucky as not a debater, but what I used to do, baby, kind of very unique. I used to do poetry in STEM. So, I'm gonna do some of that for y'all today. I think it's very appropriate to fit within the brand, coming as I am, leaving as I am. Big Crit, y'all heard of him before? Y'all familiar with Big Crit? This right here is something I used to spit when I was like, I'm 32, this when I was like 23, 24, man. I want you to feel this when I say it, y'all ready? The beginning's kinda dark, not too soft, feeling hard, drenched with love from my mother. Connected to a struggle till she cut me loose. Now what should I do? It was oh so easy, look at how they treat me. Ever since she pushed me through, now put me back in. Stop these contractions, water breaking. Oh damn, I know it's about to happen. Failed it fits, no picket fence, a dream deter. Talking politics with my niggas, switches and herbs. Eviction noticeness, hopelessness, thrown on my shoulder. God won't give you more than you can handle. Carry these voters. Give it all I got until I get older. Couple medals on my sleeve, cause life made me a soldier. Reminisce on how it was way back then, but some thoughts are way off better way back then. Hey, a small folks divided, a world so divided. That's what I used to do. Today I'm here to talk to y'all about imposed brands. Being able to say what you mean and mean what you say. Being able to show up as your authentic self and making it where whatever you're compromising is not going against your principles. How you show up authentically? By the end of this, you leave a little inspired, a little empowered, and just a little bit of information on be able to do some digital marketing. I learned objectives for today. Understand the knowledge of self, define entrepreneurship, and exploring conscious branding. The reason why I chose this picture right here is because it's really like the beginning of my story. My mama was on drugs, my daddy sold drugs. Statistically, they say that if your parents are incarcerated, there's a high likeliness of you to also be a statistic to be incarcerated. I always knew that in order for me to break the cycle, I had to be able to dictate my own brand and how I stand. Dictate my own brand and how I stand. I don't bend, break, or fold for nothing nobody's trying to say if it goes outside of my principles. When I was about 15 years old, they say, hey, my real name is George. Say, hey, George, you should be a person of principle and not a person of pressure. Today, I'm here to show y'all the different principles when it comes to thinking about imposed branding. This is Huey P. Newton, the co-founder of the Black Panther Party. Huey P. Newton, he gave me a quote that I live my life by. He said that power is the ability to define the phenomenon and make it act in a desired manner. I'm gonna repeat that. Power is the ability to define the phenomenon and make it act in a desired manner. Thinking about very intentionally how you show up and how people can perceive that, and recognizing them two things sometimes they don't jive together. 32 years old, I'm married, got kids, got degrees, but when I show up 6'2" with locks, drug dealer, thug, killer, hide your purse, clutch your purse, that's what it is. Branding. Building a brand is the process of marketing from your brand, whether that is to be on the purpose of building a brand awareness, promoting productions, or simply connecting with your intended audience for the purpose of establishing a relationship with them on their day-to-day lives. How I've been able to build a portfolio or build a platform is by doing that last thing. Connecting with an intended audience for a purpose of establishing a relationship on the day-to-day vibes. In 2016, I read this article that said the Americans had a phone in their hand on the average for 8 hours a day. And that 8 hours, 5 of those hours is spent on social media. I thought to myself like, when I wake up, I usually go straight to World Star Hip Hop, that's what's hot then. I wonder what they posted yesterday. I thought to myself, what would it mean for individuals to wake up and be like, I wonder what consciouslee posted today? We're all familiar with these brands. Social media. Changed the world for good and for bad. As I look through the crowd and I think about brands, when I give you the Huey P. Newton quote about defining the phenomenon, every single one of these brands are trying to define y'all this phenomenon to sell y'all to a different corporation. We now live in the age of attention marketing, attention currency, meaning that when you give attention to something or somebody, it literally creates a currency. These apps are trying to define the phenomenon, us as black people, on what we should be doing and what we should be caring about. When we hear about they say the Russians had did something to the internet and made it when Trump had went to office, if I give you a little more context, we can think about the ways in which Russian officials were able to get into social media to almost persuade black people to think a particular way about the Democratic Party, where they were able to use our racial trauma and our racial distrust against us to define the phenomenon and how we were going to be acting or participating within the 2020 election. Impose branding. On TikTok, I consider myself, excuse my phrase, a professional shit talker. I don't dance, I try to, but I ain't dancing. I don't rap, I try to, but I'm not a rapper. There's always individuals trying to dictate my brand. The community guidelines, personal versus professional. If I go back to this right here, these apps are always trying to define me professionally and personally, and define us professionally and personally. What's the difference between professional and purpose? How I see it is, professionally, it's about how I can use my skills to generate some money to pay the bills. Personally, it's about what I stand on. What am I willing to not break a fold on, and what I'm willing to risk? I was raised by hustlers, so I'm a hustler. I'm gonna dictate my value. I'm gonna dictate what the access and opportunity I get, and that's what we're gonna do. But I know that there's times that professional branding and personal branding come together. Junior, I'm looking forward to these questions. It's about to get real nice, you know what I'm saying? W.e.b. Du Bois. Show of hands, who's familiar with W.e.b. Du Bois? Good. We are familiar with the concept of double consciousness then, right? So we know that when it comes to social media, it's really not nothing that's unique. The way in which we are externally seen in the world is also correlative to how we're seen virtually. Can somebody give me a definition of double consciousness? Anybody? Don't be shy.
Code switching.
Who said it?
Code switching.
Code switching, can you explain it? Explain a little bit more?
Like you said, with professional and personal development and all that, you gotta be one way on your job, but when you leave, you're a whole different way.
It's a duality of existence. It's a duality of existence. Survival.
Duality of existence. What do we do when this duality of existence is causing an internal battle? What do we do when this code switching is causing us to give a little bit of legitimacy to a code that's anti-us? I acknowledge, when we think about the concept of double consciousness, this is the way in which we survive. And we thought about the way in which we survive causes an internal struggle into us when we're always trying to negotiate who we are and how we are seen, who they want us to be and who we want to be. W.e.b. Du Bois and the double consciousness is a concept that I think that is always should be mindful of, whether you want to be a social media content creator, whether you want to be a CEO, whether you want to do politics. When we are black, we recognize that we're always seen as whatever they want us to be and not being able to dictate how we want to be seen. Consciousness. No pun intended, I'm consciously, right? I hate in this day and age how the concept of wokeness has been criminalized and bastardized. It's something about what we create in the black community that can be so beautiful and so nice, and then when other people get a hold to it, they water it down. The concept of being woke is seen as a progressive thing that came from the black community. Marcus Garvey said, wake up, Africa. Wake up, Ethiopia. They want us to be asleep. What does being asleep or being woke have to do with a brand? I do it every day. Take risks. I'm a risk taker. Going more into this imposed brands, I've always thought I had a way to get the gap, but when I was growing up in Bryan, Texas, I knew that when I started talking about the LGBT community or women issues, my niggas in the hood is not trying to hear that. I don't say not trying to hear that, they're going to think about me in particular ways that I don't want them to think about. I allow for that imposed branding to stop me from doing what I really want to do. Talk truth to power, specifically in terms of gender, sexuality, and race. But I allow for me trying to be cool, trying to be down, trying to make sure my homeboys don't see me as a fake nigga, as anything like that. I'm real. I'm a real nigga too. What about you? Nah, don't do me like that. That's really how I was thinking. So for 3 to 4 years, I'm literally sitting around with all these great skills that God and the ancestors gave me, but I was holding them in. Because guess what? I didn't want my homeboys to think anything of me that I was not. I was allowing for an imposed brand to dictate how I cared about other individuals, or at least how I displayed it. When I was in college, I read something from Dr. George Yancey about whiteness, and he said something very specific that I like to repeat. He talks about the white spectator that didn't do nothing at the lynching. The white spectator at the lynching that didn't do nothing. A lot of us in the community is just like that white spectator. Hey, the judge said to my homeboy, listen, you didn't commit the crime, but you're an accessory to the crime, because when you commit the crime that's being committed, you didn't stop the commission of the crime. Therefore, you're an accessory, because you could have stopped it. So, when the white spectator is in the lynching crowd and they can stop it, what they doing? So us as black people, when we see the intracommunal violence in our hood or in our community, what are we doing? Down south, black trans women have the lowest life expectancy. A lot of them are being murdered at the hands of black men. If we know this is going on and we're not doing nothing, are we any better than the white spectator at the lynching? I say no.
Preach.
That right there, that's my brand. That's my logo right there. You know what I'm saying? I had to pay the white folks, you know what I'm saying, in DC for me to be able to own it. You know what I mean? Trademark it, you know? But this is important though right here. Education is elevation. Not only is education elevation, being able to recognize the ways in which education has given me knowledge about ownership, about marketing, about trademarking, about intellectual property is what I learned. Once I started gaining enough enemies on TikTok, I seen that the ones that had more resources than me could figure out a way to play me. Do y'all know that there was, say, a liberal TikToker getting into it with a conservative TikToker, both of them white? One of them went and bought bruh's like trademark dude stuff. Yeah. One like went and bought the intellectual property based on his IP. And I thought like, man, you ain't gonna do me like that. Nobody finna do me like that. I'm finna own the brand. To make it where can't nobody impose what they want to impose legally from a trademark standpoint on what I'm doing. Ain't no way for you to be able to take the blood, sweat, and tears I done put in building the brand and make it where you can do it. Cultural appropriation is a big thing. Cultural appropriation in the black community, I wouldn't call it that, but I think that, you know, shout out to Nick, you know what I'm thinking of right now? The argument. Does the world love black women or just what black women can do for the world? When we think about it in the black community, a lot of times we have to ask ourselves, do we love black women or just what black women can do for the community? And recognizing that it's not the same thing. You shouldn't care about that right there because it's not productive. They not productive. They can't reproduce and they ain't never did nothing. When I go back to the archive and I look at the civil rights movement or even what happened in 2020, I see a lot of black women and people of the LGBT community putting their life on the line, making sure that what's happening in the black community to us fellow black men is being heard and being seen and being. When Tony McDade got killed by the police, black trans man, that was a response with him. Do y'all know why say her name was a hashtag? Because we wasn't saying her name. We almost were sensationalizing police brutality as being a unique black masculine penis thing. Not. Imposed branding. So now I'm thinking about the way in which value is ascribed to black pain in terms of maleness, and how it's not the same energy when it comes to femininity and struggle and pain or suffering. Don't have the same energy. Imposed branding, what I learned from the Western world, is that oppression to man is a tragedy, oppression to women is a tradition. I repeat that. Oppression for man is a tragedy, oppression for women is tradition. For me, imposed branding is thinking about the ways in which I can be rewarded as a black man for pushing this idea. When I talk about imposed brands, I really want to make sure we have a full understanding of history and making it where we don't see nothing that's going on in social media as being unique to social media. These are the imposed brands of black men being seen as brutes, irrational, cannot control your penis, cannot control your sexual urges. This is the reason why we have to be hung on trees. And then we see the modern manifestation of these same type of symbols. When we talk about branding, it's important that we recognize how symbols is structural to brands. Bring that ass here, boy. Who is that? I don't get tired. Who is that?
When I say education is elevation, I thought very specifically about how Nike say just do it. It's all a part of the branding. People meet me, they be like, hey man, education is elevation, man, that shit cold right there. You feel me? Something they can repeat without saying my name. It's the way we can extend the brand. I can hop on any social media platform right now in my comment section and see somebody saying either research over me search or education is elevation, and they saying, man, shout out to consciously, or I got some consciously. Brands. If I say money over bitches, do y'all recognize how that's branding? If I say, ain't no fun, that's for y'all get something, do we see that's branding? If I say I'm the hardest dog in the yard, now I kill all the other dogs to prove it, do we see that's branding? A few days ago, I got into it with this dude on Facebook. Hey, Facebook be the one, man, folks get real familiar on Facebook. It's my theory right here. Facebook is the place where we've all come to create dialogue with our classmates, with our family members, with our coworkers. So you already coming in with a certain level of familiarity, and sometimes that familiarity spill over to strangers, and that's when we start getting to issues. Here's my point though, right? I'm already like, hey, disrespect, I already started. See what I'm saying? Now I'm matching energy. Okay, I think I'm gonna smash you in a debate. When you come up here, I don't wanna have no conversation, I don't wanna do no dialogue, state your argument, and you're so trash, I will give you when I can speak and how much time we're gonna speak. Bro hopped on and forgot all that. I told him, listen man, I don't know who raised you, but you failed them. Your comprehension skills is trash. You know what he told me? I don't care. Listen. Once you open the Pandora's box, you feel what I'm saying? You no longer get to dictate what the level of respect gonna be, because you already open, you create the climate. Metaphorically, I'm dunking on them, I'm beating my chest. You know what I'm saying? I'm stealing the ball from him, I'm laughing at him. Metaphorically. His issue was, hey, you being disrespectful and know you've made 30 arguments, I'm only gonna respond to the 3 insults I thought you did to me. I started thinking like, man, so if I'm a rapper, you ain't got no issue with me beating my chest about smoking hot packs and spinning the block. You don't have this energy. When I go to your Facebook page, I don't see you making no criticisms about any of this culture right here. So when I start having the same energy about the blood, sweat, and tears, I put in getting my flag and put it in my skirt. You know what? You think I'm being disrespectful? Impose branding. I like to introduce people to words. See, I'm almost done. To words. I think like words is important. You feel me? Vocabulary is important. Interpolation. This is a term and word that I learned when I was in college, and to be interpolated means for somebody to call your body into fragmentation. Feel me? From a gender standpoint, when we say, damn, that sister got a fat ass, we've interpolated her body and reduced her body to just being an ass. I think the philosophical concept of how interpolation or how imposed branding happen in terms of power and in terms of domination. Interpolation. Individuals are always already subjects. The individual is even interpolated as a free subject that he shall submit freely to commandments of the subject, i.e. in order that you shall be freely to accept the subjection. This is what all that means, right? When I was at the University of Oklahoma, I was about 170 pounds soaking wet. The University of Oklahoma is a D1, like y'all got here. I didn't play football, I didn't play basketball. I actually was one of the top nationally ranked debaters that walked the campus. My body was always interpolated as being affirmative action charity, as being a track player, as being a football player. Those were interpolations of me and my body and how I move. When I'm being stereotyped by Northern Police Department, they don't see me as a student, they see me as somebody that's bringing weed or cocaine into the school, into the campus. That's my body being interpolated. When women are catcalled in a particular way, that's their body being interpolated. Imposed branding.